about them Cowboys? Yeah!
All right, what's good, people? We are back with another episode of Keeping Up with the Boys with Gerard. What's going on, man?
Keeping up with them boys, man. Just taking the day at a time. Been busy with a lot of stuff. I'm a soccer coach now. Been coaching my girl in soccer, but so it's been hard to keep up with them boys. But I know we got the draft coming up with about 9 days, and it's gonna be interesting because I know with Cowboys we have a cornerback, Kelvin Joseph, who may or may not be in some trouble, but he was hanging out with some guys that was caught up in some things that's been in the news lately. I'm not going to expound too much on it, but people, Cowboy fans know what's going on. But that might open up for us to have to draft the cornerback in the first round. We'll see what happens with that. But other than that, we'll,
How you say you're not going to expound that much on it when this is a Cowboys podcast? This is you talking to all the Cowboy fans.
It's a lot of legal ramifications. It's a lot of details that.
You just said that like you know something that would get him in trouble or something like that. It's like I don't know nothing. I can't speak on it because I might get him in trouble.
I mean, I think it's a sad situation. A young man died. I can't think of his name right now, but like some man died in the situation, and Kelvin Joseph was hanging with another group of guys. But at this point in time, he's practicing with the team. He's still with the team, and investigations are ongoing. So,
well, let's talk about some other current news. Deebo Samuels wants out.
Deebo.
He don't want to have nothing to do with San Fran anymore.
Yeah.
And the rumor has it that it has nothing to do with money. They want to pay him, but he doesn't want to play as a running back. He only wants to strictly play as a receiver. He's getting tired of getting beat up. What you got to say about that?
Wow, I thought it would have been about the money. I think it's about the money. That's what I think. I mean, but I guess also San Francisco do use him in a way that he might have a short, shelf life as being a football player. Because running backs don't last long, and they do use him at running back. But he don't get that many. I mean, they don't use him as a running back.
He got like 60 this year.
Yeah, 60 carries. I mean, they use him, and they should pay him likewise because as a Cowboy fan, we know
like 60 carries and 100 targets. So, they use the hell out of him.
Yeah, so he should get paid his money. And like you said, if it wasn't about the money, then I think San Francisco used him right for the style of player he is, the type of player he is. He should be glad that he's in that situation because you can highlight your talents.
And that's what I was saying. I was saying that you talking about, because people was throwing out different things. I was like, if he's complaining, because at first somebody claimed that he was complaining about Lance. I was like, Lance? I was like, that's the least of his worries.
Well, he might know something we don't know.
When stuff started coming out, people started talking about he was complaining about the way he's being played and he wanted to be played less. And it was, when it was at the negotiating table, they said they can't promise that they won't continue to use him like that. So he said he want out. He don't want to deal with that no more.
I mean, I think they probably did. When you say 60 carries, that's a lot of carries for a wide receiver. But it's certainly in special situations, maybe the playoff times. Maybe they didn't have to use him as much because they do have serviceable running backs. I know their running backs was getting hurt this year. They had about 3 running backs.
Well, their running backs always get hurt.
So, I mean, if that didn't happen, I don't think he would have 60 carries. So,
I am really surprised Deebo didn't get hurt because the other 2 seasons he did get hurt. Surprised he didn't get hurt this year.
So maybe that's what he's looking out for too. I'm trying to think. Maybe they can draft a receiver that fits his bill and maybe use him in that way. But he won't probably.
I was on Twitter in the Twitter spaces talking to Ravens fan, and it was like talking about that the Ravens are in mix to try to trade for him. I was like, I don't know why y'all so excited because they said we get Deebo, we going to the Super Bowl. You need to calm your nerves. Look, I tried to have a heart to heart with him,
Mm-hmm.
take off the glasses and be like, look, You get Debo. You don't have the offensive mind to utilize Debo. You have a poor man's version of Debo. You have Devin Duvernay. He is a poor man's version of Debo, and you have not used any creative anything to get to utilize him.
That's true. What did they say about
So,
that?
so they didn't want to hear
They
that.
didn't want to
But
hear
it's
that.
like so you get
Yeah.
Debo and you use him as a wide receiver. Believe me, I mean, for one thing, it's not like he's the greatest route runner. You're gonna minimalize him. That's what you're gonna do if you just use him as a receiver.
Yeah. Because Duvernay, he got that same build somewhere, and I know he's faster, really. So,
He is faster. He thick. he run like I remember him as a prospect. He run like a running back.
yeah. So you gotta have that creativity. But that's what I was saying. Kyle Shanahan know how to use Debo Samuels to the best of his ability, and so why wouldn't you want to be on a team like that? And then the team that's ripe to be pretty good next year. You got a good defense. You like Trey Lance? Trey Lance is coming up. You see what he offers. Next year. I mean,
But
I
guess
know.
what? What they should do, trade Debo for a first rounder and get Burks. Get Traylon Burks. Bam.
That's the type of receiver he is, yeah. And then I guess they did. Traylon Burks never had they didn't give him handoffs, right? They just gave him like quick screens and stuff like that.
Hey, you can give that big man a handoff. I'm sure he don't mind.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think San Francisco, if their running backs healthy, they won't be using them like as often as they did this year.
Well, they need to get more running backs. They need to have the stable ready. They need to have a practice squad stable ready because they know they gonna injure their players. They know they're gonna injure
Yeah,
their running
if
backs.
Elijah Moore is ready though, he's shown that he can do it. They drafted Trey Sermon.
Which
What I
they
mean?
didn't
They
utilize.
didn't utilize, but they drafted him pretty high. Maybe if he learned how to pay, I don't know what's the reason they're not using him. Pass blocking or hitting the holes. I don't know. Maybe he can learn, but for sure, they will use them guys the way they're supposed to be used.
Now, someone said that Debo was on Twitter liking on Dallas Cowboy posts.
And I heard the teams that was interested: the Cowboys, Green Bay, and who else?
How you feel
Cowboys,
about
Green
getting
Bay.
Debo?
It was Cowboys, Green Bay, and no, it was one other team. They always got to put the Cowboys. Players do this for a purpose. They do this. They actually do this. Like even Julio Jones kind of did this. They'll put themselves out there liking the Cowboys or having the Cowboy gear on, or have the agents say the Cowboys interested or they're interested in the Cowboys, just to boost up the price. Because when you associate yourself with the Cowboys, that's when you get into the media. Some Stephen A. gonna be talking about you, Skip Bayless gonna be talking about you, Shannon. So that's just a trick that some of these players be using because of the star. So it's about them Cowboys.
So let's bring it back. We want to, find out how did your fandom begin. So how did you originally become a Dallas Cowboys fan?
Yeah, that's a good question. So my dad and all my uncles, they from East Texas, grew up in Marshall, Hallsville, Texas, and they are big Cowboy fans. So apple don't fall far from the tree. But my first early memories of like just knowing anything about football, I used to play like what John Elway football and Tecmo Bowl back in the day. And I remember about Herschel Walker and Tony Dorsett. And I used to play with them guys on Tecmo Bowl because I knew my dad and them was Cowboy fans. But I really didn't start paying attention to the game until like 1991, which I was about 10 years old at that time. And I know they played. They actually had a bad year previously. I know in 1989 they went 1-15. And so then they drafted Troy. That was Troyman's rookie year. But then they already had Michael Irvin and they drafted Emmitt Smith. But I remember when Troyman was coming to his own, Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith, and then they got to play the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. So we beat Chicago Bears in the first round. I was at the house and I was happy that they won that game. I was outside playing with the dog, just thinking one day I wanted to play in the NFL. But the next week they played against Detroit, and they had Scott Mitchell, Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, And Barry Sanders ran all over the Cowboys. And after that game, I cried. I was crying after that loss. And so that's when it all got started. I remember, like I said, myself crying. Detroit actually ended up playing the Redskins, and the Redskins beat them, and the Redskins beat the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. And so the next year, for the first game of the season, it was a Monday Night Football game. The Cowboys played the Redskins opening day, and we whooped their tail on that first game. And then that's when the Cowboys, that's when the franchise really turned as far as 1992. Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, they won their first Super Bowl. California, you had Michael Jackson performing at the Super Bowl. They was in Pasadena, California, won the Super Bowl, and they won the back-to-back. So, I mean, that's when I really started knowing who the Cowboys were, played with them on the video games, then that's when John Madden was hot, played with them, built the dynasty with them. Um, so much so when the Cowboys were playing, I used to have like cards. I used to have Emmitt Smith, Jay Novacek, Alvin Harper. I had all of their football cards. And like if they were struggling, they were doing so well, I used to put them in front of the TV, and I thought I had something to do with them first couple of Super Bowls. Pretty superstitious. I'm not superstitious anymore, but I think I had something to do with the playoff wins back in the day. And we had to overcome San Francisco. San Francisco was our biggest hurdle to overcome, and we beat them that year. So that was an exciting game. I was pumped. I got up early. I couldn't hardly go to sleep. Got up early. That game started out slow. Early in that game, actually, Jerry Rice caught a touchdown. And it was like early in the first. I mean, it was like the second play of the game or something. And then that play got called back. And so then I guess the Cowboys able to calm their nerves down, and they went on to win that game. So
It's funny you brought up that Washington champion championship because that
mhm.
probably was the very first time I remember looking at football, paying attention. That was probably Forrest back Washington winning the Super Bowl because I don't remember looking at football before then.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Ain't that there was a year they had Art Monk or something like that?
They had James Lofton. That was them. I mean, no, that was Buffalo. But they had Gary Clark. Yeah,
Now I
Art Monk.
remember that Buffalo team because the Buffalo team just stayed
Yeah,
going to the Super Bowl. I remember that Buffalo team very well.
and that's interesting too, because like you said, we was kind of young. But I remember the first game I remember, like they had Super Bowl parties, so I went to those. The first Super Bowl I went to was Denver versus San Francisco. And San Francisco beat them. And then the second Super Bowl party I went to was the Giants versus Buffalo, which is Buffalo's first Super Bowl. And so the Bills got beat by the Giants that first Super Bowl. But that's the NFC. That's when the NFC East was on top, though. You had the Giants winning the Super Bowl, you had the Redskins winning the Super Bowl, and then you had the Cowboys winning the
Yeah,
Super
I don't
Bowl.
remember the Giants winning the Super Bowl back then. Who the hell was on their team?
That's when they had Lawrence Taylor, and that was Bill Belichick was defensive coordinator. So Bill Parcells was the head coach, and then they had
Who
actually
was the quarterback and running back?
the quarterback was Chris Sims, right? Chris Sims got hurt. He was the starting quarterback. So then Jeff Hostetler, I don't know, you may or may not know him, but
I still stayed on relief for a minute, so yeah, I remember him.
yeah, because he went to San. I think he went to the Raiders after that, but he was in the league. But he was. I want to say he was one of the few quarterbacks that was a backup that actually won the Super Bowl. I think Doug Williams started the season as a backup, but he won the Super Bowl. But that's Bill Parcells did a fantastic job coaching that. Like I said, Bill Belichick was the defensive coordinator on that team.
Now, I don't know how far East Texas is from Dallas, but what would you say about people who would be like, you never lived in Dallas, so why you a Cowboys fan and not a Texans fan?
So the Texans, man. So when I was. So I'm a diehard Cowboy fan, but so what happened? What used to happen back in the day, if the Cowboys playing at the same time as the Oilers, the Houston Oilers, when they played, if the Astrodome wasn't sold out, they would black out the Cowboy game. And so like that, I mean, I just didn't care if the Houston had a team or not. That was my opinion of the situation. And I was like, I didn't care, but I was a football fan, and I did go to some Houston Oilers game. They did have Warren Moon. I wasn't too much of a hater of the Oilers. I always wanted to probably see the Cowboys and Oilers play against each other. And then, so I was a Warren Moon. I supported Warren Moon, and then they had drafted Steve McNair and Eddie George. Steve McNair came to my middle school and talked to us at Persian Middle School, and I thought that was pretty cool. Have an NFL player there and talk to us, and so I supported him. And then, like I said, a couple of years later, or maybe the next year, they moved to Tennessee, and I was fine with that. Like I said, because at that time I knew that they were gonna show the Cowboy games for the most
So I
part.
remember.
Sometimes they would show them Saints games though. That didn't make no sense.
Speaking of that, I remember Sam Mills came and talked to us as a little league team. I didn't know
Yeah.
who he was. I just got his autograph just because. And why I never I was like I really don't know who Sam Mills. I remember he was a little short, somebody playing defense, but I was like I don't remember the Saints ever being good. So this guy couldn't have been that good. Why I found out this when we at the Hall of Fame.
Sam, they was good, man. The Saints.
Wow, I wish I still had that autograph. Oh, it was like a shin guard I had. I had him signed.
I would say, man, you know what? And my dad took me on my birthday. That was one of the first games that I went to. We went in New Orleans. We went to New Orleans. We went to go visit my cousins, and we went to go see the Cowboys play the Saints in the Superdome. And that's when the Saints was pretty decent. Y'all had Pat Swelling, Sam Mills, and there was two other linebackers. I can't. They was pretty good.
Yeah, I remember they had a
Jackson, Ricky Jackson, and
they offense
another.
was still trash, especially if Aaron Brooks was running it.
No, not it was before Aaron Brooks. It was Bob.
Okay, I'm about to say, I
This
remember that guy. That dude didn't care
no, this
about nothing.
this was like this was probably like 1992. This was probably the same year they won the Super Bowl or something. I saw them play. I saw them play the Saints back at that time. I saw them play Green Bay. And it was a regular season game when they played Green Bay. But yep, I've been to a few Cowboy games. That's when they played in
I
Texas.
feel like we play the Cowboys more than the Texans and all of us play the Cowboys. I like
We would.
that should be games they should be making sure happen. That
Yeah, the NFL probably should do something in the scheduling where it's like if you're an in-state rival or in-state teams, they should have them playing against each other. With that extra game that they got, they should be able to do something like that. You know what it is because they rotate the divisions and they rotate. You only gonna play the NFC, AFC like if NFC playing the AFC team, they don't gonna do that every 4 years. Because you got four divisions, you're only gonna play those divisions, you know, once every 4 years. But if you in the NFC, then sometimes you might it depend on if you finish first, second, third in your division, then you might play that other team. So let's say if the Saints finish second in their division and the Cowboys finish second, then they might play each other the next year. Versus you're not gonna see the Cowboys play the Texans until like every 4 years. That's why. Yeah, they need.
So, what's your favorite Cowboys play of all time and why?
See, I didn't know these questions was coming. Wow. Favorite Cowboy player of all time. When you asked me that right off the top of my head, it's something about Michael Irvin, man. There's something about him being the playmaker. He just gets you hyped for games. He was always the motivation. I think he was the heart and soul of those teams back in the day. But I always said it like this: like Troyman was the leader. Emmitt Smith was the best player on the team. I feel like, and then Michael Irvin was just the emotion of the team. Just brought the energy. So
I was just thinking about. I mean, one day they're gonna have a show made out the Cowboys because they got one made off the Lakers right now called Whitman. I haven't watched it yet, but when I thought about that, then I was like, there is like a football show that shows that the backdrops of what happens in the Rock playing it. He plays like an agent.
Oh, like it used to be on HBO, right? But then they took it off.
Yeah, that's because that shows did show a lot of real stuff.
I had a cousin. He said, yeah, when we saw Any Given Sunday, he was like, "Man, that's what really be happening in the NFL." Some of that stuff was fake, though. Man, Willie Beam, he was on the sideline eating and listening to music and doing all kind of stuff. But no, I don't think the sidelines be that hype. But yeah, that would be interesting. That's a good idea, man.
So in
They probably got something about Michael Irvin that they can't sell, huh?
So in 2015,
Mm.
have you accepted the fact that Dez Bryant did not catch the ball in the Packers playoff game?
Man, that's a hard take, man. That hurts me, man. So the core of who I am, what I'm about, man, I'm a Cowboy fan. I love football. So I'm just thinking about the Dez Bryant that grew up in Lufkin, Texas. I'm from Texas too. His dream was to play in the NFC, go to the Super Bowl. And for you to have it in your hands, you had the catch. It was a catch. Even the cornerback from Green Bay basically said it was a catch. And for it to be taken away the way it was, I mean, I think it hurts. I think it hurts his legacy. It hurts what people think about Dez and the Cowboys, even Tony Romo. I can't get past it. I don't know how you can. That's one of the ones he gonna have probably have dreams about it himself, and then your grandkids. I mean, that's something that you want to have. That if you want to go to that NFC Championship game, possibly win, and then have that ring, you can at least say you was an NFC champion. I personally think we would have beat Seattle Seahawks. We played Seattle Seahawks that year, and
But that's
I
why
mean,
I'm like, I
I
don't
think we matched the
understand
rules.
why you so hurt about it. You still had two more games to play.
No, I think we would have beat Seattle. Now I think they
Two
went up.
more.
If they now I don't know if we'd beat New England if that's who they play. I don't know if it was Denver in New England that year. I think they played New England that year. I don't think we would have beat. That would have been a different story. But we would have beat Seattle. Man, we would have beat Seattle. We already seen that game. They was hyped for the first. They played the game in the regular season. Nobody didn't think the Cowboys were gonna beat Seattle, but they went in there and took it to them. It was physical. That's when we had the offensive line that we needed. Tony Romo, we had everybody. It's just man. Mm. I will say another thing about that play. People don't, like. I think it was a catch and it should have been called, but Cole Beasley, he was open on that play. If Romo would have
I
just
saw
took
the
it.
pictures. I saw the ball on the ground, so I don't know. I saw the
No,
pictures
man,
and it didn't
that
look
go
like it
back
was
to the
a catch.
Birdie man. Even the one with Megatron, them he caught the ball.
That
Did,
one looked more like a catch than on Brad. But
but
I
he
was
caught. I
like,
mean, he
if Dez Bryant, I mean, if Megatron didn't
yeah,
get his as a catch, Dez Bryant, hell no, not
it
no
was the
more.
same referee too. It was the same It was the same referee that called it that way. Only thing about the Dez Bryant, it was open for interpretation only because to me he took 3 steps. It's like he took 2 steps and then he lunged to the end zone. That's facts. I mean, he didn't have the ball for that long, but it's like he took 3 steps and lunged. Like we know nowadays that would have been a catch. Now the way the rules are written, that would have been a catch.
So I got a trivia question for you. We go find out how much a Cowboy fan you are.
Oh man. Oh.
It's a simple one because Cowboy fans love to throw in other franchise faces how many Super Bowls they have. So the question to you: what years did the Cowboys win the Super Bowl?
I'm gonna say 71, 70,
Wrong.
70 what 77, 71, 72. You know,
There
it's
you
the
go. That's what I
71.
need from you. That's what I need from you.
It's the 71,
Because the year they
72.
won it was 72. So you got to say 71, 72. Go ahead.
So then what is 77, 78? Because I'll go by the seasons. Then it's 92, 93, 92, 93, 94, and then it's gonna be the 95, 96, I guess.
All right, all right, all right.
Because Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman, those are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
It looked like y'all never had a close Super Bowl. I mean, 24-3 against Miami, 27-10 against the Broncos, 52-17 against the Bills, 30-13 against the Bills, 27-17.
Yeah. And my dad and them, they would have stories about how Robert Newhouse, they grew up in East Texas. That's where he's from also. So he threw a touchdown pass when they played against Denver in that second Super Bowl. Robert Newhouse threw a touchdown pass. So
Mm.
little trivia. So my dad been watching the Cowboys since then. And on my birthday, when I was born, he was watching the Cowboys versus the Giants on that day. My mom was in labor. He's trying to watch the game. True story.
So it's been 26 years since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you think it's fair that people believe the Cowboys have been choking in the playoffs?
choking.
Yeah,
I think well, then it's hard to win the Super Bowl. That's first off.
but y'all don't
Um,
believe y'all get to the playoffs and choke.
I mean, if you make it to the playoff, I don't know what teams do you think choke? I
Well,
mean,
well, when you think about choking, I guess people definitely probably think about the Romo days. Definitely, probably.
so the ones are so we played. Let's say we had the number one seed and we played against the Giants. And the thing I remember about that, like I said, hold on. Okay, so no, first of all, no, the first time they made it to the playoffs with Tony Romo is when we had Bill Parcells, the head coach, and they played Seattle. And I remember this, like we drove down the field. Jason Witten caught the ball. If you look at it, I think the referees gave him a first down. I think they replayed it and they said he didn't have the yards for the first down. But if you look at that angle, there's no way that you could take that ball back to where they did. It was just no way. I promise. It's an excuse, but it's like there's no way that you could overturn that. So then that's why they had to go for the field goal. So they was playing Seattle. They went for the field goal, and then that's when Tony Romo he was the starting quarterback at that time. They probably should have had somebody else doing it. I don't know. But those balls were slick. That's when he dropped that ball and we missed that field goal and then we lost to Seattle in the playoffs. I wonder is that when I forgot who won the Super Bowl that year. But I don't know how far that team would have went, but that's a game we should have won. And then I wonder if Bill Parcells would have stuck around because if my issue is if Bill Parcells would have stuck around, his coaching style and who he was, I believe that next year team would have got to the Super Bowl and had a chance to win because Bill Parcells was an excellent coach. Now then you had Wade Phillips. He had a more of a laid back style. We still went 13-3. We had a lot of talent on the team, but in the playoff game, I remember like it was a few bad calls early on. Like we stopped. This is the first quarter. This is the first possession that the Giants had. We stopped them. It was third and such and such. We stopped them. They said DeMarcus Ware was offsides. He was not offside. He had a good get off. He got off real fast. They actually called him offsides. Giants got the first down. They went in and scored a touchdown. They really didn't do too much more in the game. We pretty much controlled the game. We was winning at halftime. We was running the ball effectively. But for some reason, the second half, they stopped running the ball. I don't know if they feel like I don't know what was going on with the coaches. That was Jason Garrett was offensive coordinator, but they kind of stopped running the ball, and the Giants just kept on running the ball, and then our defense just kind of broke down at the end, and they had another play where the Cowboys were winning, and Patrick Creighton had a chance to catch the ball. He probably would have been still running to this day, and he dropped the ball, and that's how the Giants got the ball back. They ended up scoring
Never
a
heard of
touchdown.
Patrick Creighton before in my life.
Patrick Creighton, he
That
was the
sounds
third
like
receiver.
a person that would have dropped the ball.
Man, he was a pretty good receiver. He probably had the best hands on the team. That's when we had T.O. and Miles Austin and all. He probably had the best hands on the team. He used to play
Stop it.
quarterback.
Better hands than T.O.
No,
Stop
he
it.
was a possession receiver. And so that game, that was not Tony Romo's fault necessarily, but it didn't work out for us. And the Giants went on, ended up beating New England in the Super Bowl. So that just lets you know what type of team that was. But man, that hurt too. So that was a couple of
Speak,
losses right there.
speaking of that, in the past 26 years, what's one thing you wish would have happened differently? A play, a player that y'all should have drafted or signed. What's one thing you regret seeing happen?
One thing you talking about, like all the plays. You talk
Out of
the.
everything, what's one thing?
I wish that Dez Bryant pass would have.
So out of the last 26 years, that's the only one thing. You
That's not the only. I mean, that's probably the
well,
top
I'm
thing.
saying that's the number one.
That's probably the number one thing that I can think of right now. It's
Also,
another
they
thing.
let that pass go. And would that even won the game? Would that even won the game? Because
It's
people
more
remember
than likely. I mean, there's still some scenarios in there because actually Cowboys got the ball back, I think. But I think we could have ran the clock out, and then we would have had a good chance of winning that game. Yeah. I think we probably would have won that game.
So
That game.
it wasn't even a guaranteed win. So all
All
of
right,
a
I
sudden,
would say
if I turn back the hands of
so.
time, y'all get a touchdown, catch a catch, touchdown. Y'all
I,
don't even.
I think we had a good chance. I think we probably would have won that game. So then another thing, I wish Bill Parcells would have stayed another year. That's
Now,
a
now you're getting warm because if I was a Cowboy fan, I would have said I wish Jerry Jones would have kept his pride and kept Jimmy Johnson. If I was a Cowboy fan, that's the one thing I wish would happen.
that would yeah, that's a good one. So yeah, Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells. And so that's the problem. So that's the thing with the Cowboys that we struggling with now these days. So I actually heard Jerry Jones say this one time. He was saying he asked the man upstairs. He was like, "If you give me 3 Super Bowl wins, I won't ask you much more." Da, 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 something to that effect. He said that, and maybe that's the deal that was made because that's all he got. He said that, so I think you can't play with the man
The
upstairs.
real
How he said
question
it.
was it really the man upstairs or the man below?
Mhm. That's the way he phrased it, and that's the way he put it. But I did hear him say that it's an interview. We might put that in the comment section and have people go look at. He said something to that effect. I'm like, well, you can't be making deals like that.
Well, guess what?
Y'all
That's
can
all I
definitely
got,
talk
man.
too.
If you got
What's up?
something else, let me know.
Well, another thing, I wish we would have drafted T.J. Watt over Taco Charlton. I knew that was a given. I'm not too mad about this, but I know Roy Williams, he was a great player for us, but I wanted us to get Ed Reed. I think Ed Reed was the safety. I know we needed a safety in that draft, but Roy Williams is a good player, so can't really go wrong with that. He didn't play. He wasn't Ed Reed, I guess, at the end of the day. But so I remember those drafts. I remember. I'm glad we got Demarcus Ware. I always thought we was gonna get Sean Merriman, and I'm glad we got drafted Demarcus Ware. That worked out for the good. Um, Let me see. It's a lot of drafts. So we got the draft coming up. It's a lot of things. I actually thought we were going to draft Jalen Ramsey over Ezekiel Elliott just because that's a premium pick. You know, usually they were saying running backs, you don't need to pick them in the first round that high. But I knew you weren't going to be able to find a Jalen Ramsey. You know, he could play for your 10 years and be your best corner and be an all pro. And running backs, you know, you just hope they stay healthy. But at the time, for the team, how the team was put together, and I will say this, I do wish Tony Romo was healthy that first year, and it worked out with Dak was the man, and Dak he couldn't lose his job after how well he played. But if Tony Romo was the quarterback of that team, I would just have liked to have seen how that would have worked out. I just have that in me to wish it would have seen how it would have ended with Tony Romo as the starting quarterback. Um, During that time. Because Ezekiel was during his first 3 years, you know, he really was a difference maker. I still think Ezekiel is a difference maker on this team too. He just got to stay healthy. Because if you look at the first 4 or 5 games he played this year, he was looking like the old Z. He was looking like himself. But then when he tore his PCL, he was not the same. He was not the same. So next year I have hopes that he will get back to what he was even at the beginning of this season, and we'll be in good position. But like Dalton Schultz said, man, we're not a better team without Amari Cooper. You know, that's something that one of the
He
players.
said that.
Yeah, the tight end said we're not a better offense without a better team without Amari Cooper, and that's legit. That's a given. it wasn't too many reasons for them to let go of Amari Cooper. Wide receivers are getting paid nowadays. He actually looking like a bargain now to me. So yeah.
Well, the draft is on April 28th, so that's Thursday of next week. You know,
Mhm.
maybe we can get another show in before,
Yeah.
and I could put you on the clock as the GM.
Okay. We can do that. Sounds like a plan.
Right. Let's go ahead and close it out. Keep it up with the boys. Another episode. Peace.
Peace. All right.